I should probably stop using the term game in the tournament because what we've seen in this round of 16, I don't even know, man. This has just been absolutely insane. But welcome back to the World Cup recap. Day 27 of the tournament, the final day of the round of 16, and two more crazy matchups to get through. We'll get straight into the first matchup between Argentina and Egypt. Argentina coming off a big scare in their round of 32 matchup against Cape Verde, a game where they took the lead multiple times, looked to see it off, but then Cape Verde just came in with something special every single time, just keep on repelling against Argentina. They obviously still managed to find a way in the end, but the fact that Cape Verde were able to give them that kind of game definitely left me and plenty of others with some worry about this team heading into the rest of the World Cup, especially in their next matchup being a bit of a step up against Egypt, a team that has definitely outperformed their expectations so far in this tournament, coming off their first ever knockout win against Australia. They've definitely headed into this one as massive underdogs, but they've proven in this tournament that they've been able to really take it to some of the big teams like we saw in their first game against Belgium. And they went into this game with pretty much that exact same mentality of they're just going to go out there and they're going to go get it. Now, before I get into how this game played out exactly, I'm going to be kind of presenting this in two different ways. The first part will be the game itself and all of the important stuff as far as, goals and whatnot. But then the second part of all of the other stuff that you could probably guess what they are. Now, as I've said before in previous videos talking about Egypt, one thing that has always stood out to me about this team, they start extremely well. They scored early against Belgium. They scored early against Iran. They scored early against Australia. And they did the same thing today. Off the set piece as well. I'm telling you, these guys, man, they have a formula. And that's what made this matchup so scary because it really felt like Egypt had a big plan here that they've been creating throughout the last couple of days or however to stop this Argentina team. And this one, again, brilliant setup on the set piece, man. Egypt have been one of the best teams at set pieces in this tournament. A short corner gets swung in for Matia, and Yasser Ibrahim, the center back, comes up big with the header. 15 minutes in, Egypt stun the world and take the lead against Argentina. Again, amazing start. You really could not have asked for much more there. Argentina looked to put some pressure on a little bit early, but now they were really up against it. Fortunately for them, a couple of minutes later, Tagliafico makes a run in behind, and he goes on to earn a penalty. Just like that, Argentina, probably with a little bit of a blip at the start, now have the chance to restore some order. Lionel Messi takes the spot for the second time of the World Cup, and just like the first time against Austria, he could not find the back of the net. Shabir once again with another penalty save, his second penalty save of the tournament. Just absolutely incredible, and I'm not going to be done with him, especially in this first half, trust me. But before that, I just got to say that something's off with Messi when it comes to penalties recently. Like, if you watched how he took penalties at the last World Cup in 2022, where he was absolutely automatic, in comparison to this World Cup, I'm seeing two completely different styles, man. And clearly something's not working right now. Personally, if I'm Argentina, I get that it's Lionel Messi, but I might want to put either Lautaro Martinez or Julian Alvarez, one of those star strikers maybe, up that penalty spot before Lionel Messi, because two misses, and both of them have been pretty poor as well. The first one, he completely missed the net. This one, again, a weak penalty. Shabir guessing the right way, making the big save. Egypt stay up 1-0. And from there, you really started to feel like that was really honing in on Messi a lot more than the Austria game, where he was obviously able to come right back, get that goal that ended up being the record-breaking goal. But this one was a little different. In a knockout stage and you're down 1-0, this was a moment that Argentina really needed him, and he could not deliver. From there, Argentina had so many big chances in this first half. Messi had a chance from a free kick. He hit the post. Alexis McAllister as well with a big header. But again, Mustafa Shobir, man, his first half was one of the best performances I've seen from a goalkeeper in this tournament. Again, this tournament's been absolutely loaded with goalkeeper performances, but his first half was so special. The penalty save to start, but that shot that he saved from Julian Alvarez from point blank range, I don't know if many of the best goalkeepers in the world are keeping that out, man. That was absolutely sensational, man. Carrying his entire country on his back throughout the rest of the first half, and they were definitely going to need him more in the second half because Argentina were pushing, man. They were really going for it. And I will say Egypt was leaving quite a lot of space in that first half for Argentina to really operate things. They tried to close things down more in the second half, but Yeah, Schober, they have him a lot to thank for keeping them up 1-0 in the first half. From the second half, this was a little different because despite the fact that Egypt were going kind of all hands on deck, you also felt the threat of the counter. We saw a little bit of a moment with Mo Salah. He almost broke away, but he was just called back for a foul. And once again, we saw it again, Argentina just pushing everyone forward. Egypt punishing them on the counter. Mo Salah, even at 35 years old with a bag leg, he still got the room to run. Now, him and Zeke were able to link up for that goal that was called back. I will get back to that later because it's going to be important. But luckily for Egypt, 10 minutes after that, they would get that second goal from the counterattack. Mustafa Ziko, once again, he was absolutely running, man. He's, again, a player that, especially in this game, was such a big spark for the Egypt attack. You obviously think of the likes of Omar Marmoush and Mo Salah, but Mustafa Ziko stepping up in the way he did, the way he was making those runs on those counters, none of those Argentinian defenders could deal with him, man. None of them did. He was absolutely sensational. He got his goal to put Egypt up 2-0. And as much as I wanted to hold things out for Argentina, because they still are very capable of pulling off something special and whatnot, but the thing is, Argentina haven't really been in too many of these types of situations. Being 2-0 down to a team that they were vastly picked to beat, vastly picked to probably wipe the floor with. They were expected the ones to be up 2-0 at this point, not Egypt. So with that being uncharted territory, I was a little less sure that this was going to be their day. It looked like Egypt were actually going to pull off one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history. I was basically already preparing for what I was going to say when Egypt were going to pull off the win and how this was a disappointing tournament for Argentina and how they suffered the scare against Cape Verde. They didn't learn their lessons and they underestimated another African team and they were going to fall to the wayside. And Egypt are on an absolutely historic run. They could potentially make the semifinals. All this stuff, right? But again, Lionel Messi. This team goes wherever he goes. And in the first 80 minutes of this game, let's be honest, for his standards, he was nowhere to be seen. Like I said, him missing the penalty at the start of the game really did a number on him and his confidence throughout most of this one. In that situation, it was going to take little moments. Not him, absolutely running around the entire team, although he did have a couple of those moments throughout this one, especially later in the game. But it all started with a pass. A pass across goal, finding the head of Christian Romero. Those two players linked up in the last game against Cape Verde. It was called as an own goal, but this time, there was none of that here. Messi found Romero. It took a couple of times for him to do that, but he got there in the end. Argentina pulling within one. It's at this point where now that Argentina have finally broken through, had finally broken past Mustafa Schober and that Egypt defense, you felt like this could be their moment now. They could finally be opening up, and that's exactly what it was. 4 minutes later, crowding inside the box, Argentina chance after chance. Montiel has it. He has a chance to take the shot, but instead, he kind of dishes it off. And luckily for him, Lionel Messi was right there. And he smashed it into the top of the net. Schober, for as good as he tried, could not keep that one out. Within the space of 5 minutes, Argentina went from being absolutely down and out to right back in the fold, back to 2-2 in the blink of an eye. And again, that is the impact of Lionel Messi. For him at his age to still be able to have that switch of not being at his best for the first 70, 80 minutes and then just absolutely turning the game on its head the way he did. Regardless of all the other stuff that I will get into, I'm not going to take anything away from Lionel Messi's performance in this one because he was sensational, man. He was absolutely incredible in those last 10 minutes to galvanize his team back into the game. And Argentina were not done there because in the 92nd minute, Argentina gave Egypt a little taste of their own medicine. After both teams were throwing caution into the wind, going back and forth, Argentina finally had what looked like a golden opportunity. Lautaro Martinez running on the right-hand side, where it looked like he was taking his time a little bit, not necessarily rushing toward the Egypt goal, but all he was doing was holding it up so that Enzo Fernandez can make that run in behind. The cross comes in, he just springs up into the air, puts the header in the perfect spot. Schober, no chance to get it. And Argentina, within less than 15 minutes, complete a historic turnaround. 2-0 down to 3-2. They have the lead, and once again, they complete an incredible escape. I could not believe what I was seeing, man. Again, we've seen crazy games throughout this tournament. The last game against Cape Verde from them was one of the best. The Mexico-England game from a couple days ago. The Portugal-Croatia game and all the craziness and late drama at the end. This one's going to be up there as well, man. This comeback from Argentina. And again, this is the thing with these World Cup winners, man. Teams that have been there, teams that have seen it all. A player like Messi that has seen it all. I mean, this guy's been a part of some of the greatest comebacks in football history. I mean, the way this team just always finds something in the bag, right? They always find something to dig themselves out of a bad situation. This was as bad of a situation as it could possibly be, but they still did it. They still kept at it. They still putting tons of pressure on Egypt. And again, I do want to say about Egypt before we get into all this stuff, they definitely do have to take some responsibility for this. They allowed Argentina way too much, especially in the late part of that game. Obviously, they had the 2-0 lead, fair play to them, and it was obviously going to take even more of an effort to really keep this Argentina team completely out of it. I get it. Argentina are extremely talented. Even without Lionel Messi, we've seen it, especially in that last goal, the likes of Martinez and Enzo Fernandez. They can hurt you. This team does that. But again, they just gave them too many chances, and more importantly, they left them too much time. We even saw in the Belgium-Senegal game, they didn't concede until the 85th minute. That was still not enough to keep them completely out of it as they went on to tie that and win it in extra time. Same thing here with Argentina, man. They come back from 2-0 down. They become the second team ever in World Cup history to do that, next to, as I just mentioned, the Belgians, who did that in 2018 against Japan. Now that I think about it, that game is pretty similar to that one, especially that last goal. The fact that it came off a counterattack as well. Kind of crazy, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, just an absolutely insane game from start to finish. However, as great as this was, obviously, for Argentina, and you even saw how much it meant to them at the end, they were emotional, man. And I can understand it. Yes, I know it's only Egypt, but like, crazy comeback, man. Just a ride of emotions, thinking, this is it, they're going to be out, and then they do that. It's like magical almost. But at the same time, we also can't ignore some of the other events that went on in this game and the noise that has been coming from the Egypt side. And if you're wondering where all this is coming from, well, take a guess. Officiating and VAR. Yup, after a couple of days of not really giving us too much controversy to talk about, VAR rears its ugly head once again, and in this case, Egypt are on the wrong side of it. Let's jump back to the 58th minute, right, where Egypt get that initial counterattack goal from Mustafa Ziko. Again, really impressive goal. Egypt's counterattack, again, was just absolutely sensational. I got to point that out. But obviously, before Egypt got to that goal, there was a coming together between Latia and Lisandro Martinez. Latia got the ball off him. He started the counter. Egypt went on to score. Instantly, the Argentina team were making the case that there was a foul in the lead-up and it should be checked for VAR. And from what it seemed like, I wasn't too sure about this in full time. VAR check seemed pretty quick. From the moment that the goal was scored to the moment that the referee was looking at the goal and whatever, it all seemed very fast. I don't know if there was an instant call from them to look at it or whatever, but it was really, really quick. And considering how big of a moment this was going to be in the match, the difference between Egypt going up 1 and 2 goals, as well as Argentina getting a very dangerous free kick, those are two things that I think you really have to consider to make a call like this. It's one of those things where the World Cup so far, you have obviously your different officials, they call different things. There's just been a lack of consistency. Some games like the Canada-Morocco game, you'll have Michael Oliver dishing out yellow cards like it's absolutely nothing for every foul. Then you'll have other games like France and Paraguay, where somehow Paraguay were just able to assault every French player and not get a single booking. And again, I want to reiterate that this VAR check, again, to me, you have to go with the initial call on the field. The goal stood. There was no foul in the play. Whether the ref initially saw the play or not, I'm not completely sure. I would have assumed they would have seen it, considering they had the ball. But considering the moment of what this was and how Egypt were able to go right up and score again, it wasn't like this was a foul near the, it wasn't like this was a foul on Egypt's side and they ended up scoring from there. If that, fine. But knowing how important this was for the Egypt goal and for the Argentina free kick and a big free kick spot as well, I don't think that should have been disallowed. I don't think that should have been a disallowed goal. Yes, there is a case to say that that's a foul, but again, it's one of those things where VAR is used for something that is clear and obvious. The call on the field was no foul, good goal. Was there enough in that to overturn the goal and give Argentina a big free kick? In my opinion, I don't think there was. I think that goal should have stood, and again, knowing how the game played out, that really costed Egypt. They could have been up 3-0 by the 70th minute mark. I say could have because who knows if the third goal still would have happened. Argentina probably would have tightened things up after that. But regardless, that would have been a huge, huge moment for Egypt, especially knowing how the game ended up playing out as Argentina got 3 goals themselves. And speaking of the third goal, we got to talk about that as well. In the lead up to that goal, as well as some of the other instances prior to that, again, both teams were just going back and forth. There was no real time to really collect your thoughts here. There was so much going on. But there were 2 occasions where an Egypt player went down in the box. Now, I see these incidents in 2 different ways, right? Knowing how big the stage of the game was and knowing that any goal and any chance and any big moment was going to be probably the game winner in this. Those challenges themselves, again, there is a case, but I don't really think it's enough to give them as penalties. However, given what we already saw take place in this game, where Egypt were denied of a goal because of a foul that they committed in their own area, it's a pretty similar situation here with Argentina. They committed 2 challenges in their area that were not called on the field. Argentina obviously went up and scored the 3rd goal to take the lead and get the win. Now, knowing what we saw what happened in the first place, where Argentina demanded a VAR check, which they got, Egypt, in their own right, asked for the same thing. They asked that the referee look at VAR and see if there was grounds to potentially overturn this goal and as well as give them a penalty. But in the end, no VAR check was done. The goal stood, and from there, Egypt just lost their minds. And understandably so, because they should have had 3 goals. This should have been 3-3 going into extra time. If you look at that in a vacuum, I don't see that as any grounds to really overturn that goal. But in the same light, I don't think that challenge on Lisandro Martinez was enough to overturn the Egypt goal. And this is where I get back to when it comes to consistency. There has been a huge lack of consistency at this World Cup, and it is a massive, massive problem. And as I said before, Egypt were just absolutely losing their minds, man. Their coach was getting into it with the officials on the sidelines. He was apparently holding up like the stop the game sign, signaling that there's some kind of discrimination going on. Now, I don't know if that was something he was doing to say that either the Argentina team were discriminating against him or if he felt like the officials were doing that. I'm assuming it's the latter, since the officials' reaction to him doing that was giving him a yellow card, which, yeah, it definitely does take away from how crazy this game was and how crazy Argentina's comeback was. Yes, they came back, but at the same time, definitely had some fortune go their way. Definitely did. And this was something that he was really intensified as far as Egypt after the game. Most of them will come out and said, you know, this is rigged and they want Argentina in the next stage, which again, I don't blame them for saying that. I really don't. Whether it's true or not, that's one thing, right? Although I will say I don't think it would have been the best thing for FIFA if they had an Egypt-Switzerland quarterfinal, if I'm being honest. But regardless, Argentina, they get the 3-2 win. There's that. And in case you needed some more fuel to the fire, there's going to be a bunch of Argentinian officials refereeing France and Morocco. So there's that, I guess. I do really feel for Egypt, man. I don't think this should take away from the fact that they've had an incredible World Cup. Easily probably the best World Cup that they've ever had. Glad to see, obviously, Mo Salah as well doing this well for Egypt. Again, it's been a long time coming for him, going back to 2018 when he was supposed to be the leader for them, and then he ended up hurting his shoulder in the Champions League final and got derailed from there. Even though he's out of his prime now, he's still able to have this moment for him in his country. And again, there's just so many parts of Egypt and how they played that really impressed me. How they started their games, how they were able to get that first goal right away and really build off of that, how they were able to hold defensively in that second half. Again, until Messi just reared his head and changed everything, but that's what he does, man. He's the best player ever. He's now scored in, 9 straight World Cup games? And yeah, once again, fair play to Egypt. You guys had an unbelievable World Cup. But Argentina, they've definitely got the wind blowing in their direction to make another deep run at the World Cup. And as for their opponent in the quarterfinals, we go to the last game of the last 16 between Switzerland and Colombia. Colombia, so far, they've had a decent tournament, but the weight of it all really fell on this one here. This was going to be the game to determine if this World Cup was going to be a success or not for this team. Because with regards to Colombia, like Spain, they're a team that has so much potential, man. This team could genuinely make a massive, massive run. They could go toe-to-toe with the likes of Argentina and them, but they haven't been at their best, particularly guys like Luis Diaz. He had a good first game against Uzbekistan, but apart from that, he hasn't been quite the game changer that we all thought he would be. Same thing goes with their strikers. Luis Suarez, He was incredible heading into this tournament, really hasn't hit the ground running at all. But yet they've still done more than enough as far as getting results, right? The Portugal game, I thought they were really impressive in. The Ghana game, they took care of business in that one. And they've done sort of the bare minimum as far as result-wise, but they've been playing pretty well. And I expected a similar thing here against Switzerland, a team that started this tournament off very, very badly with obviously the 1-1 draw to Qatar in a game that they absolutely dominated. But from there, obviously, they got great results against Bosnia, Canada, and Algeria. They're a team that has really grown into this tournament, and also a team that very hard to break down. However, heading into this game, they were faced with major setbacks. In particular, Johan Manzambi and Ruben Vargas. Both players, along with Abisher, were not 100% fit to play. Manzambi and Abisher didn't even feature at all. Vargas ended up coming off the bench later on, but big losses for the Switzerland team, especially Manzambi, man. You really hope he could be healthy in time for the quarterfinals because he is the difference maker. He's been the difference maker ever since that second game against Bosnia. They're going to need an attacking talent like him who's really transformed the Switzerland team. So I say all this to say that Switzerland headed into this game with a bit of a different approach. With not as much firepower up front, they knew that they had to make this one a grind. And as I said before with Colombia, this has been a team that has struggled to get their finishing going. Their forwards like Luis Diaz and Luis Suarez were still struggling in this one. All the while you had Granit Xhaka take even more of a bigger role in this team in this one, really controlling things in the midfield. I thought he was absolutely incredible today. One of his best performances I think he's ever played for Switzerland. And then obviously in net, Gregor Kobel, I don't know if I've talked a lot about him, but this is a big tournament for him. His first tournament as this team's starting goalkeeper. After years of being the understudy to Jan Sommer, he finally got his long-awaited opportunity this year to start in a major tournament for Switzerland, and he has been incredible, especially in the latter stages of this game. This game would obviously go the distance, extra time. Colombia had really looked like they were getting a winner in extra time, man. First, there was that chance that went off the bar. Then there was that one chance from, I believe, Campas, where a shot was like dipping. It was kind of a weird shot. And he dived and was able to punch that away. That was a really tough save. Campas would obviously have another big chance in the second half of extra time. Xhaka makes his first mistake of the game, gives it up. Campas is one-on-one with Kobel. He sends it over the net. That is a moment that, to any Colombian fan that was at the stadium or even watching at home, nightmare fuel, for sure. Although seeing what happened later, there's definitely more of that to come, as this one would obviously go to penalties. And once again, it's been a theme of this tournament, especially when it comes to penalty shootouts. Center backs taking penalties, it just doesn't go well, man. These guys should have learned from Gabriel and Jonathan Tah already, man. This doesn't work. It just doesn't. Davison Sanchez gets the second penalty for Colombia. He just goes full strike, full power, goes off the bar. I will say he did get pretty unlucky here because usually those kinds of shots, when they go off the bar like that, they tend to go barring into the net. But this one, it goes off and right on the line. Unlucky with that one. Switzerland have the advantage until the center back of their own, Manuel Akanji, steps up. And yeah, man, this was straight out of Gabriel and Jonathan Tah's book. Just right over the bar. Probably was able to break the roof off of that place with that one. But from there, it looked like Colombia, they were back in the shootout. Chico Hernandez coming up next. And again, Gregor Kobel. As I said before, he's waited for this opportunity to be the hero for his team. And this was his moment. He makes an incredible save. This was not even a bad penalty. Usually, when keepers save it, it's usually because the penalty wasn't that great. This was a fine enough penalty. Kobel just absolutely sensational with that one. Goes the right way, makes the solid save on that one. A hard strike as well. And Switzerland now in pole position. And it's that man, Ruben Vargas. Couldn't start in this one. He came off the bench. Couldn't make the difference in normal time. But now, with the ball in his hands, he had the chance to send Switzerland to the next round. And perfect penalty. Doesn't do too much. Sends Camilo Vargas the wrong way. And puts Switzerland in their first quarterfinal since 1954. Also the year that they last hosted the World Cup. So, huge achievement for them, man. Switzerland, again, from where they started in this tournament, even before this tournament, in their warm-up friendlies, where there was some tension of the team not playing at their best and Xhaka calling them out and all this, it's pretty much now all rectified. Switzerland have absolutely came out to play in this tournament, man. Again, big achievement for them to make the quarterfinals. They obviously have a date now with FIFA and Destiny's team, Argentina. We'll see how that one unfolds again. They got to get Manzambi back for that one. He is going to be so key for them. We've seen already in these last two games how the Argentinian defense has been exposed. Manzambi could easily do a number on them. Will easily be the toughest test for them. But yeah, big stuff for Switzerland. Once again, I thought They did exactly what they had to do today. They managed to hold up Colombia for the majority of this game. They didn't have too many chances of their end, as opposed to what the Colombians had, but big shame for Colombia. Definitely does feel like a missed opportunity for them. This team is capable of so much more, especially again with how kind of bad Argentina's been so far for their standards in the knockout stage. They could have been the ones to knock them down, and who knows what could have happened from there, man. Semi-final, final, who knows what would have been on their radar with a win for them here. But I think, again, it really just comes down to their play. Their attacking play was not good enough. To beat a team like Switzerland, they really had to come out and take their chances. And unfortunately, that's been one of their key issues that have plagued them throughout this tournament. But that is going to do it for this day of the World Cup recap. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and thanks for all the support on this. Make sure to like and subscribe for daily World Cup content. And at this point, with all of my favorite and other kind of favorite teams out of this World Cup, I don't even know who to cheer for, man. I might have to dye my hair blonde and cheer for Norway, because they seem like the fun team. They seem like the good guys, at least, as far as this World Cup is. So, yeah, I might be roaring with Norway next. Who knows? Let's play football.